Hi, David Hood here, and this video is about website penalties, specifically in Google. Have you had a major drop in traffic from Google or from the search engines in general? And this is sometimes what it might look like if you were to graph maybe your weekly or your daily traffic, and boom, just a really obvious difference in traffic you notice. Sometimes it's overnight, sometimes it can take up to 3 to 6 months of gradual loss. There's a lot of different ways in which it can happen. And there's a lot of misunderstanding, I think, about what it really means and how do you go about fixing it. And there's not really, unfortunately, there's not really one, you do this and you win. There are just a lot of different checkboxes, and they can kind of affect one area that they check can affect how they check another area, and so it's pretty complicated, and they've gotten more sophisticated with it over time. It used to be that they didn't have very many algorithmic penalties. Now that's what they want to do, and I see a lot less manual penalties and more algorithmic penalties, and that's the way they like it. It doesn't require an actual person to find it out. They can sniff that out automatically, so they're obviously happy with that. So there's two major animals, Panda, which first started appearing, I believe it's 2010 or 2011. I don't remember exactly, maybe even 2012. It doesn't matter because their official launch date, they've been testing it in different niches for 6 to 12 months, so some people might have felt it earlier, so it's not really an exact date. But Panda does a lot of different things, and here's just a couple of examples. It looks at duplicate content on your site, which there are ways in which it's okay to use duplicate content. It's a natural part of the internet, but there are ways in which they don't like it, and so that's one thing it checks for. It does look at your links, low quality content on your site or on your links. It will also look at low quality links. I guess I put that in there twice. Too many ads on your site. You used to see a lot more of those sites ranking where you click on it and there'd be like an ad at the top of the bar, maybe right here in the page, and then an ad over here, and then another ad somewhere in here, and now Google's Panda sniffs that out, and just sites like that just don't really rank anymore. Now it's not impossible for them to rank, but it's a lot harder, and they have to really go about this in a different way. And this actually can be gotten if you use a big image, because an image to Google looks just as like an ad. That's exactly what an ad would look like. So if your website starts with a big giant image and the whole page is an image, then generally that's not going to be good. Now, if your visitors still respond really positively to it, it still could work for you. Again, this is a check mark, but if people are coming to your site and they're spending a lot of time on your site, you get a lot of traffic and a lot of repeat traffic, and Google recognizes that, they're going to give you more of a pass than if you don't have traffic. Now, that doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. It just means that it becomes harder and harder to get penalized by this kind of thing. But that's one example. And Panda does a lot of things, and it really looks at a lot of different angles. And one of the things that it was able to do, one of the really big advances, was actually in their ability to look at far more things at the same time. They used to, it's named after some guy named Panda, and he enabled Google to be able to analyze data on a much more massive scale. We're talking orders of magnitude 10, 100, 1,000 times more. And so they were able to do things that they have been thinking about probably for a long time. So Panda is awesome, and Panda is possibly part of it is integrated into the algorithm already, and it runs either once a month or once every 20 days, or I'm not sure if there's an exact amount that they run it. I think officially it's once every 20 days. Okay, the Penguin is a little bit later. It doesn't do as much as Panda, but it can be just as hurtful, and a lot of the penalties I see nowadays that are obvious are Penguin. Penguin is a lot more obvious because it does tend to look a little bit more like a sudden drop off a cliff. One day the Penguin is updated, and boom, there goes just like all your rankings, and you can't rank above page 5 for any of the search phrases you're ranking for. And there's two main ways that this can hurt you. So if it's spamming links, if you have an anchor text distribution that's really poor. Let me pull up an example. This is a website called ahrefs.com, ahrefs.com, and I went and pulled this from page 10 of Dallas plastic surgeon in the hopes that it had some spammy links. It didn't, but this is an example. So links coming into your site, what is the anchor text that someone would click on? And the anchor text is whatever when you run your mouse over it, whatever highlighted is showed up. So if I go to CNN.com, the anchor text here is malicious slander. The anchor text here is North Korean official counters reports of executions. Okay, so and this has a big effect on what you rank for. And it used to be you could send 1,000 links. If you wanted to rank for Dallas plastic surgeon, you'd send 1,000 links to your site with anchor text Dallas plastic surgeon, and it would give you a huge bump in relevancy for that term. Now Google is now able to sniff out with Penguin that, hey, that's not natural, very easily. Even if you have like 5 or 6 exact match anchor text Dallas plastic surgeon from 5 or 6 different referring domains, that's too much, and Google is able to sniff that out. And this is a really simple, they don't have a lot of links in this example, so it's not the best example, but that is what I see a lot of. Now, the links could also be massive low trust links. This could be bad neighborhoods or penalized sites, or if all your links come from Russia and China, which is kind of a bad neighborhood. Like literally, like you can, where a lot of the spam comes from, you can point it out on a map. And the process for fixing this is a little bit more straightforward because it's primarily about one thing, which is the links, and we can go through a disavow process. And a lot of times we can get something, a recovery is in as short as 2 or 3 days after we do the disavow process. And so it can happen really fast. It really depends on why you were ranking in the first place. If it was because of the spam or the bad links, then you're not going to recover as much. But if the spam was just hurting you and you would have ranked there pretty well already, then it can bring you way back, bring you all the way back to where you were before. It can immediately bring it back to traffic. With Panda, you have to test several things, and there's a lot of different complications. So that's more of a try some things, see if that was the issue, and then if that isn't the issue, you move on to the next item on the list until you recover or get them all done. So there are manual penalties still. It is possible for you to get a manual penalty, and you can go into your Google Webmaster Tools. That would be Google Webmasters Tools. Just type it in, and they'll have site messages within there. And once you register your site, and that'll tell you if there's a manual penalty. Now, a manual penalty is, there's a lot of different things that can go in. It's manual, and so that's by definition, I can't tell you everything that goes on there. It shouldn't happen very often, and it's very rare for me to see that nowadays because Panda and Penguin take care of so much. But if a competitor reports you and you were doing spam, they could have done a manual penalty, and the process for that varies. So we would address that depending on all the different scenarios in what happened with your business, with your website. So there is kind of a penalty with just bad SEO where you just start falling in the rankings. It's not really a penalty. It's just if someone does really bad SEO for your site, it can just bring your rankings down. It's kind of a penalty, or is it not? And maybe it's hard. It depends on how you look at it and define it. Maybe I should put this underneath bad SEO, which is old school SEO, SEO that worked pre-Panda Penguin. Like I said, sending 1,000 links with the same anchor text to your site, or even 5 links. And then also the way you build the links, the order and the structure, and where do you get those links? How do you make those links? The way that it was done 3, 4, 5 years ago, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it just doesn't really work today. And maybe some of the things that were done are still true. Some on-page things and some basic core link building concepts are still true, but the way people go about it is, in order to do it, is very different, and I think it's more complicated. It used to be easier, and as a result, a lot of people have dropped out, which makes it so that people who actually can do SEO, there's an increase in demand but a decrease in supply. Okay, so let me just give you a few concepts about modern SEO, and then I'll wrap this up. So first of all, you have to have a Panda Penguin understanding. You have to understand what these are in order to build your site properly in the first place. There's a lot of little things that are easy, that seem innocuous, that you could fix easily, that where you could go down the line and Panda could really just take a big slap at you, or maybe Penguin as well. You know, that just simple things that if you understood from the beginning what Panda and Penguin are all about and what some of the scenarios are that you could encounter, then you're gonna be able to you'd be able to avoid those pitfalls very easily. Understanding domain authority, and you know, maybe these are intertwined. Maybe I'll put a slash here. Domain authority and trust, because they're related. And how does Google deal with trust? What are some of the ways in which you can build trust? What are some ways in which you can hurt trust and domain authority? These are all important questions to any SEO project with any sort of ambition. Relevancy. This is really huge, and you know, it sounds real obvious. Okay, so how do you increase your relevancy and for search phrases? And this is something that not a lot of people really think about. Oh, well, you put your keywords in your title and in these tags and in your text or whatever, and that's your relevancy. Well, it's not that simple. It's definitely not that simple. There's more factors than that involved. Additionally, it's just more complicated than that. But there's also some really simple things that you can do to increase your relevancy that so few people do. And this is something that worked before and it works now. And it's just sort of like a fundamentals that is very important. It's sort of like when you hear a really great athlete, why are they so good? One of the things that they almost always are really good at are the fundamentals, and they constantly work on the fundamentals and do them really well. And other people kind of they go, it's not important, it's minor. I've known that before, but that's not really how you master something. So I digress. Another huge part of modern SEO is video, and this is not something that everyone's going to agree with me on, but a single video that you can put up on YouTube is an extremely valuable business asset. A single video up on YouTube, there's a lot of ways in which you can use that for SEO. That it just kind of opens different doors, and there's a lot of power. YouTube, you can link from YouTube, and YouTube is a very powerful domain. And so there's a lot going on there. And there's a lot more to this than what I can list in this video. This video isn't a modern SEO video. It's more about the different kinds of penalties and what you can expect to see and what you should look out for, and some general guidance on how to move forward with some of these potential penalties. So if you have any more questions or your site's been penalized, feel free to shoot me an email or fill out the contact form and give me a call, and I'll see what I can do to help you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.